Greg Heffley, can you please come to the front of the room and do the problem?
Yo, mama.
Excuse me?
One of the things I've taught Rowley is that timing is everything.
Get your butts back on the field.
Good one.
Unbelievable.
Today I wanted to do a pretty crazy, more different video. If you guys don't know, am a huge fan of the Wimpy Kid series. No joke, I own each and every single book in the series. Every time a new book comes out, I have it. So I thought, well, I could just rank all the books, but then I thought that'd be pretty pointless since there's going to be a new one every single year. So I want to do a rank video just to have to keep updating it every year. So I thought, why not do this next best thing and just do simple top 7 videos on it. But I wanted to get the crap out of the way first, unlike what I did with Futurama. So we're going to do the top 7... What? Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, so it really surprised me when I looked through my entire Wimpy Kid collection to pick out the 7 books I really hate in the series. I was only able to find 5. Only 5 of the books in the whole series I found that I hated. I was genuinely shocked. I went, well, really? Only 5 of the books in the series I don't like? I could have swore I didn't like a lot more than that, but no, I guess there's more good than there is bad in the series. So yeah, for a weird turn on what we usually do, we're doing the top 5 worst Wimpy Kid books in the series. Let's get started. Okay, starting us off here with number 5 is Wimpy Kid Old School. Yeah. Funny thing is, I wasn't even going to put this on the worst list. I was actually not even going to have this on the list at all. But when I started to see how low amount of books I had on this ranking and how little I had to talk about, I decided to start throwing in some books that aren't bad, but I just think are just low tier. So, Old School got thrown in with that pile. Now, Old School, I will tell you, when I first got this book, I did not like it in the slightest. When I first got this book, I actually was bored out of my mind with it. I was not a fan of it at all. I genuinely found it a very slow-paced, boring book. But as the years went on and I would start to reread these books, no joke, I've reread a lot of these books several times over and over, waiting for the next book in the series. And with my time reading it more and more, I actually started to love it. I loved the whole lemonade thing in the beginning. I loved the camp part of the story and the whole camp urban legend and everything. The camp part is the highlight. The camp and the lemonade is the highlight, but everything else is bad. I hated the whole they're just forced to stay and help with the gardening at the park. I hate the fucking Girl Scout story plot and the whole them running around with some dumbass kid and then pinning everything on him. All of those parts didn't do anything for me. I didn't care for that. I didn't care for the Let's Be Unplugged thing. I didn't care for any of those stuff. But that's not surprising. Usually anything to do with the mom, I always end up hating. So her parts were the worst parts, but the lemonade part was really great. And I also loved, like, the last big chunk of the book has to do with the whole camp thing. And I loved the Celia scratch in the camp thing. So yeah, due to the camp part and the lemonade and even the Celia Scratch storyline, pretty solid book, but I will say this one is at least an acquired taste. Oh boy, I had such a weird relationship with this one. Oh god, did I have a weird relationship with this one. Number 4 on the list is The Deep End. Now, let me say something about The Deep End. When I first got this book, I will say a few things. One, I actually love that it continued the story of the last book. The last book before this one had a plot and they actually continue that plot here. I thought that was brilliant. I went, wow, you're actually going to continue the plot of the last book and show that this stuff matters when usually you don't? That's awesome. It's always rarely when they do, like how they'll rarely continue the fights with Rowley. I think that was the only story plot they actually paid attention to and continued through the first book down to Dog Days and then down to The Ugly Truth. But this one continues the story of the last book, and the only reason why this one is only number 4 and doesn't go lower is because the whole majority of this book is about them having to camp, live on the road, and spend life in an RV for now. And I won't lie, the RV parts are actually really good. I love the RV parts. I love the parts where they're camping and stuff. Once again, you're going to be hearing this a lot. All the parts that have to do with the mom I despised. Like, the mom does nothing in each one of these books but just force her opinions on her family and other people and does nothing but bitch and whine and ruin stuff. I mean, there's a part in this book where they just won't, where the dad just goes, let's just chill and enjoy nature in the campsite, and she forces them to walk, do all this stuff, cause problems to happen, and I'm sick of it. It's usually always her. It's usually always that stuff, and that's why this only gets a number 4 slot. This one, I can't call a good book. I do think this is a bad one in the series. I do think it's a bad book. The RV camping, and even the Eden Park they go to at the end to try to mingle with other RV people, those parts were great. But everything else was horrible. The mom is as worse as she ever has been in this book. And they even have, I don't know why, Jeff Kinney in this book has an obsession with religion for some reason. Now, I don't mind religion. I'm just not comfortable around it. Because I think people get a little too, it becomes way too hot of a topic. And there's so many parts in this book where he talks about it and it gets mentioned nonstop. There are whole parts of this book. Like, there's one part where he talks about God and the creation of animals and humans. There's another part in the book where he talks about Noah's Ark and how the Ark worked. There's another part in the book where he kind of discusses the 10 Commandments. And I'm like, dude, relax. I'm just trying to let myself relax and rot my brain away with another funny book in the Wimpy Kid series, alright? So, with all those reasons, and maybe a bit more, that's why I guess number 4. And now the number 3 spot, the newest book in the series, as of making this video, and as to my knowledge, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Diaper Overload. Now, yeah, there's a big reason why this one's on my bad list. The reason why this one is on my bad list is because this book, man, oh my god. Jeff Kinney, do you have some sort of problem with change or telling some variety or a good fucking story that lasts? This entire book here felt like, from start to finish, a waste of my fucking time. I'm not kidding. I felt like I was wasting my time with this book. It started off so good. So good with, hey, a book just focusing on Roderick's band. Just focusing on, hey, are they actually going to make it? Is he actually going to start getting pretty popular and start being what he wants, a rock star? Is the throwaway joke in every book finally going to matter? No. Still no. All we do is get some crap story of, oh yeah, look, they start to get good, they start to get popular, and then, out of the blue, you start throwing fucking curveballs. Then at the end of the book, all of a sudden, there's some band called Stank that's a lot like Roderick's that we've never heard of before and was never mentioned before in the entire fucking series, but they exist now, and they're taking away everything from Loaded Diaper. Oh, wait, what else? Oh yeah, by the way, there's some fucking copyright law that never existed before due to some merchandise thing that sues them and forces them to stop being a Loaded Diaper, even though, once again, something that was never a fucking thing in the books. So I'm sorry, it felt like you had like such a good pace, and then you decided you got afraid of change and had a breakdown, baby bitch breakdown in your room, and you decided to just coddle it all away. Coddle your nice space and cobble it away. I'm not even kidding. I don't know what the fuck was up with this one, but you wasted my time, you ruined the fucking story, and why just we go, out of the blue, Roderick doesn't matter, his band doesn't matter, everything falls apart, go back to your garage and just be a joke where you just annoy your dad with rock music. Like, come on, Jeff Kinney. Any good story has change, variety. The story builds. We have stuff get introduced that's new. And you give me fuck all of that in the later books. Like, I'm sorry, but this one has the 3 spot only because, holy shit. Like, I'm just so pissed that you wasted my time. And the sad thing is, this isn't even the only time you would have wasted my time. Now, this next entry might be a bit of an unpopular opinion. No, cut it. We're not doing That's Unpopular. This is not a That's Unpopular episode. Tone it down. Alright, not now. We're doing Jetpack Retro. Anyways, like I was saying, so this next entry might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but number 2 goes to the original first book. Now, before you guys say anything, let me explain more why. I do like this book. I mean, hell, if it wasn't for this book, I wouldn't have bought each and every single book in the series. But sadly to say, out of all the books, and like I mentioned before, how I've read them over and over and over multiple times, even that piece of crap one we just talked about, I've read multiple times, I have never ever reread this one. This is the only one in my collection I have never touched again, I have never reread again, and I have never ever felt like reading again. I've read each and every other book in the series multiple times over and over and over, but never this one. This is the only one I never want to deal with, I never want to bother with, and I just don't feel like touching. And I think that comes to be because of some plots in the story. The story's fine, it's great, but I don't know, in my opinion, this one focused a little too much on the bitchiness fight between Greg and Rowley. It focuses a little too much on the bully characters, like when they go to Halloween, they have that stupid thing with the bullies, and the bullies come back just to attack them at the end of the book, and they won't leave them alone. The bully plot made me furious. Like, it was just annoying. I was like, okay, Jesus Christ, they wouldn't be this obsessed over one kid. Fuck off already. And I seem to be right, because later in the books, those guys never become a thing again, so tone it down. The bully plot with those big kids that are doing all the shit to them threw me off. The whole Halloween part was done badly here. I read other books in the Wimpy Kid series that did Halloween way better. And it was just, I don't know, it has a very slow pace to it. Like, it starts off with just, oh yeah, die Wimpy Kid. And then it ends up going with, alright, we got Rowley. Rowley's going to be the main plot of the whole thing. Rowley's going to be focused the entire time. Rowley's going to be this whole thing. And then we have teens just to make it go higher. I get what they're doing. I get the beginning, middle, and end. I see the story. It's just not for me. And it's one that I've never touched again. And that's why it gets the number 2 spot. Just due to sheer uninterest. Due to sheer uninterest is why I don't touch it again. Even with the last entry is annoying and pisses you off in the end. But before we get to that ending point, it's still a really fun read. It's still really fun what the band does, what they go through and everything before the crap ending in your mouth. So that's why this is just worse than it. I have no intention at all of reading this again. None at all whatsoever. But if you're wondering why that's only number 2 after what I just said, and why what my number 1 isn't number 2 instead, well, let's get to that. And also, before we go to number 1, I will say this. This book, I would rather read over and over and over. I would rather read this way more times over and over, way more, than that new stupid piece of fucking crap dog shit, rotted fucking roadkill piece of fucking dookie Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie that came out on Disney Plus recently. And no, I haven't bothered watching the sequel to it, Roderick Rules, yet, because I don't want to get fucking cancer. Okay, let's lower it down. Let's cool off a bit. Maybe I went a little too angry with that whole stupid piece of shit Disney Plus stuff happening to Diary of a Wimpy Kid right now. It was... no, they're both just as bad. I was going to say it was almost as bad as The Long Haul, but they're both just as bad. They're both equal levels of bad. Fuck The Long Haul. Oh, okay. Need to get my mind off it. Let's just get to the number 1 entry, alright? And number 1 entry in the Wimpy Kid... Oh, fuck me! Oh my god, I hated this book. Oh my god. Number 1 entry is Wrecking Ball. And yes, I don't give 2 fucks that it has such a nice concrete feeling hardcover and looks like it's fucking construction. That always bothered me as the series went on. Why did we go from just diaries that were just a different color each diary, and then we went from, fuck it, just make the entire book just look and feel like the theme? Well, I'm not going to say it's not cool, it is. It's just, it doesn't fit with the rest of the books in the series. It doesn't fit with the simplicity of this. Even after they ran out of colors, when they did the Meltdown and stuff, all they did was just start fusing colors for those books, and they could have just kept doing that. I don't know why we went with this. But anyways, enough about the cover. This book, holy fuck. Talk about such a buzzkill. Like, the book starts off a little good. The only part, I'm not even kidding, there's only one part in this book I like. Only one part. And the only part in this book I like is just the beginning with the garage sale. That is it. I only love that part. It's so stupid. And it's so bad that it ends up falling after that. Like, I only like this beginning part with the art sale. That is the only part that's good. And then after that, it goes downhill. They start a nice plot about, maybe we should renovate the house. And then we get this, alright, majority of the book after this, half of the entire book is just going to be construction humor. Just construction guys going through hell, construction gags, silly, wacky construction. And then we get to the part that makes me never want to pick a Diamond Kid book again. The finale part where we have them finally decide to make a big change. And I would have loved this for the series. Thinking about moving houses. Why not? It would have... it would have breathed such needed life into the series. I don't know about you, but as the books go on, they start to feel dead. It's always going to be just Greg and Rowley fighting. Greg and Rowley this, Greg and Rowley that. Rowley's having a bitch fit again. Rowley's having a breakdown again. Greg's being an ass again. It's going to be the same shit. And then when they do make, because there's a weird part in the books where they start to just go on adventures and vacations a lot, like with the long haul and the whole getaway, they start to want to get away from that environment because they know it's getting stale. If that's the case, if you want to fix it, Jeff Kinney, if you want to stop the series from getting stale, just have them move fucking houses. I'm not even kidding. When I saw this last part here of them seeing the brand new cool looking house and them already getting ideas of what they're going to do with it, and Greg already starting to put in plans for what is he going to do here, what's the new school going to be like, he's going to be in a fresh new environment, no one's going to know him, he might have to get a new friend. Even that one really good story arc where, hey, maybe Rowley could still visit me. And we could have had a really good story where Rowley goes on these road trips to go meet Greg once in a while. They still try to reconnect. And you can even do an emotional thing with that where they try bit by bit to see each other. I mean, dude, this part here, and yes, I'm going to spoil this book. I don't give a shit. And this ending part here, oh my god, this ending part here where they have the whole party at their house and Rowley makes that big, beautiful best friends poster with a ton of pictures of all the stuff they went through together and everything that's happened. They have a moment just to hug and cry and let it out over the fact that they've had such this great friendship together. Like, you threw away all of that. You threw away the emotion. You threw away a good new plot you could have done in the story. You threw away a nice new environment, and all you did was, you didn't only crap in my mouth with this one. You outright pulled down your pants and fucking diarrhea in my mouth. It's fucking stupid. It's a big piece of shit. And I'm not even kidding. This ending made me so pissed that I almost never picked up another book again. I almost stopped right here. Because that was such a horrible ending. But then I went to the store years later. I saw the next book in the store for only... Actually, no, that was later. I only got back into the series because then after this, it was Christmas. And my mom ended up picking up this for me. Wait, is that right? Yeah, I was right. This is the next book. And that following Christmas, my mom ended up picking me up this for Christmas. The only reason why I even keep going with the series is because Christmas came, my mom got me this because she knew how much I love the series and she thought I'd want the next one. And this one was different and interesting enough to make me want that. And now you guys know. Remember how I said this continues off the last book? Yes, it continues off this. Over what the cover shows, they now have to live in an RV. I don't give a shit if I just spoiled that. These two books don't deserve any restrictions, or read it yourself. But yeah, and then after that, the only other time I ever picked up a book was when I went to the store. I was just walking by. I saw... Oh, what book was it? Oh, yeah, that's it. I saw that sports one, I think Big Shot, for only $10. And I went, sure. And I just picked it up for a quick read. But that right there is the top 5 worst Diamond Kid books. I'm genuinely shocked it wasn't more than that. I was expecting my usual top 7, but there wasn't actually enough bad ones for me to do a full 7. And yeah, you know what? Congratulations, Jeff Kinney. I didn't entirely hate your whole series. There was actually a lot more good than bad. But then again, that just goes to show that there's a reason why I fell in love with the series when I was a kid. I picked this up when I was in elementary. They were doing those little booklets you could get where you scratch off stuff you want, the book fair, and then they would give it to you. I saw this there. I genuinely thought in my dumbass kid brain that the title said Diarrhea of a Wimpy Kid, so I picked it up laughing my ass off. Ended up reading it, and the mix of art and cartoons and a kid going through all this stuff and all these wacky adventures that you can relate to and you can see happening to you and you going, yeah, I remember that stuff when I was growing up. And mixed in with the idea of, yeah, it's a kid doodling in his journal. I mean, I would doodle all my math homework all the time. It connects with you on so many levels, and there is a special place in my heart for the series and always will be. This will always be the first book series I ever fully picked up and read beginning to end. The only book series I still stick with to this day. And it will always be, I guess, my number 1 favorite book series of all time that I will actually continue with. Despite the crap, sadly, I'm still stuck with it. But now, I was going to do a different video today, but I think I've kept you guys waiting long enough. And I finally decided to take another look at the Wimpy Kid book series. Yep, that's right. This is part 2 to the Wimpy Kid book series I was doing. I was going to do favorite Wimpy Kid books next, but that list is much bigger and there's more to say there. So I decided, you know what? We'll save that for another time. And today, also, a shout out to a comment I got on the last video. We are going to take a look at all the Wimpy Kid spin-off books today. That's right, we're going to be covering all of them. Down to the Rowleys, to the other options, to the... Oh, what the fuck?! Okay, so we are ranking this. Oh. Worst to best. Okay, so, at the bottom, due to how many spinoffs there are, and due to one I threw in, we only have 4, so at the bottom of the list is the Wimpy Kid Movie Diary. Except this is the special edition where it comes with all three of the only good Wimpy Kid movies that exist. This book is an amazing telling of that movie, the production, the way it was put up together, hell, even the actors themselves and how they had to build the chemistry, how they had to work with each other, and even how this kid who plays Greg in the movie and the one who plays Riley, what they even had to do to even get the part to begin with. It's a really good book that grabs the story of how the movie was made and mixes it together with the writing and style of a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. It's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book made just to tell the story of the film's production. It gives you such good insight on it, such good storytelling on it. The only downside I have with this book is that the majority of the entire book is just talking about the first movie, and then no joke, like only the last tiny layer here of the last 10 pages is around talking about 2 and 3. So kind of misleading, but it was fine for what it was. First one gets all the attention, 2 and 3 just gets a quick rundown of little differences they did, and notes. And it's the only movie book that counts. The only movie book that counts. The other one doesn't count. Okay? And if you want to know why...
Mushroom Makoto. It's Japanese. Mental. What? Mushroom in a kitchen? You got shroomed. That's how Digby do it.
That's how Digby do it. Yeah, if he's not giving up his phone, I'm not giving up mine.
And he's not giving up. I'm not giving mine up. Who do you think you are bossing us around?
Do I really need to explain? time for number 3 of ranking the spin-off books. Remember, worst to best. So, number 4 is the Wimpy Kid Movie Diary Complete Collection. Now we're on the series that the comment was about, that people were more interested to know my thoughts on, and we are finally on the Rowley series. And yes, the first one in the Rowley series is 3rd place. And if you want to know why this is the worst out of all the Rowley books, it's due to the fact that majority of this book just seems annoying. One thing I found funny about Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid, I love the idea, and the idea for this book is not bad in the slightest. It's just, and I've seen videos covering this, how majority of this book just rips apart Greg and shows how he truly is and how horrible a person he is. And it does do that, that's true. But I hate that people don't also bring up the fact of what this book actually does. This book shows you that they're both pricks.
I'm the one who terrorized those kids. What? Yeah, and I think we can both learn some valuable lessons from this. Like, I should be more careful what I do in front of Mrs. Irvine's house. And you, well, you should be more careful who you lend your coat to. You know what, Greg? You're not a good friend.
I'm not even kidding. Rowley pisses me off a lot in this book. This also pulls the layers on Rowley. He just seems to be a whining, needy kid that always seems to just get what he wants most of the time. There are literally scenes, and the worst part I hate in the book is when they have their first sleepover together, and the entire sleepover is Rowley bitching and whining and crying to his mom for everything just to get what he wants in the end. To get his own book, to get what he wants, getting Greg in trouble. And majority of this book just seems like Rowley is just horrible to have as a friend. Yes, Greg's a prick too. The library scene shows that in strides how much of a prick Greg is. That is true. But Rowley, in my opinion, is just as annoying. So, yeah, due to how annoying this book is to reread, I'm going to tell you what the only highlights I like were. The only highlights in this book is the good boy point system, the part when they talk about the superheroes creating, that was a great part too. I mean, no joke, the best part of this entire book is when they create their own superhero character. That was the best part of this book. Second best part was the good point system. Greg's lies was hilarious when Rowley lists off his lies. And also the part when they discuss how to go through the ninja story when they were playing ninjas in the woods and Greg almost ditched him there. That was really crazy. And yeah, those were the best points of the book. So yeah, due to the fact there's a lot of annoyance in this, it goes at the bottom of the list. Alright, number 2. Let's see what the second best book in this Rowley series is so far. Second best book in the series is this one I was the most excited for, because if you know me, I love anthologies. Awesome Friendly Spooky Stories is the second best in the whole series, and only because of what I said previously. It is just a collection of anthology horror stories, but since they're written by Rowley, they're horror stories with light tone to them. I like that they bring up the fact that since this is Rowley, though, you could see his fingerprints are written all over this, and every story has either a soft ending or something that's not that scary, or majority of the time ends up just being a lesson that he would teach in the normal books. And if you want to do a quick speed run of what my favorite stories in this are, if I had to do a quick ranking of every single story, let's take a look. Alright, ranking of my favorite stories. Number 1 favorite story is The Stain. Second place is The Nap. Third place is The Cellar, because The Cellar had a M. Night Shyamalan thing going to it. Fourth best story was The Scanner, because it had a really silly lesson that I thought was hilarious, but true. Fifth place is The Biter. Sixth place was The Prankster, because that one felt like a Twilight Zone episode. Seventh place is The Invasion, because I just thought it was hilarious how they deal with the zombies. 8th place is The Medicine Cabinet. 9th place is The Science Project. 10th place is A Mummy, but I might boost that to 5th place because that one was really funny. The Demon, and then last place was Ghost Friend, because Ghost Friend was literally to a T just making a horror story of what I said in the previous entry, Greg and Rowley just bitching with each other and fighting and being assholes to each other. That one, Ghost Friend, just feels like it was that to a T. So yeah, that's my ranking of that, and yeah, this was really good. I honestly wish his next book is another anthology like this, but if not, they can still do another thing even better. Oh yes, if you're familiar with the books, then this should be obvious to you what number 1 is. Number 1 is Awesome Friendly Adventure. This one is number 1 only because I was genuinely shocked with how good of a book this was. And what makes it so good to me is the way it's written. It literally is, like, look, it even comes with a map of the world they explore in this fantasy realm Rowley creates, which I remember when I first got this book also looking at this map so many times. It's just amazing.
How old is this milk?
It literally is, hey, Jeff Kinney wants to do his own Lord of the Rings story, but through the lens of Rowley, because that would make it more funny. But what really makes this book so good to me is the fact that it's literally Rowley writing a book while at the same time getting editor notes and production notes from Greg. They do this funny thing where it's a parody of when you're just trying to tell a story and you'll have executives or decisions or marketing make you change things so that way it goes to a certain demographic. And to fill that, they instead have Greg be the one who is the editor in this case that's forcing him to change things. He'll tell him to outright cut scenes out, or, hey, that's not working, change this. That's pretty boring, make it more action-packed. I mean, there's even one whole part when one of the chapters is just non-stop, the team going through non-stop action, non-stop craziness with no breaks, just because Greg is sick and tired of the boring stuff and tells him you need to go crazy. And that's what makes it so fun. We get to see Rowley go through the struggles of, hey, marketing deals, advertisements, oh, you better not make the villain character a villain or you'll get in trouble for it. It covers everything of how annoying it is to make a story nowadays while it's still being a Wimpy Kid book. It's great, it's fun, and on top of that, we have a really crazy, fun, wild fantasy adventure with such great characters to go through. I love all these characters. The right hand, the wizard with one eye, the twist they do at the end with it. It's perfect. And yeah, if he does do another Rowley book, I would like if it was another continuation of this, or if it was an anthology. The first one was fine, but after seeing the first one, I'd rather you just leave the diaries to Greg. Greg seems the only one that knows how to do the diaries without it, being weird. So my thoughts, this is the number 1 best one, because just the fact that we get a whole adventure, a whole world, and brand new characters with a funny plot of the bullshit of trying to write a story and marketing thrown in makes it the best of the whole series. So there you guys go. That was my ranking of all the Wimpy Kid spin-off books. Hope that was... And the next part would be covering, yes, the Wimpy Kid movies. So we are going to talk about them and rank them, and yeah, so let's just jump into it. So of course, when it comes to the movie, we're going to talk about the good ones. Yes, they're so good I even went out of my way to get the entire collection pack of them. The entire collection of the original 3 movies. Now, in case you guys are wondering how I'm going to be ranking this, well, I'll make it real quick for you. Let's very quickly talk about the new movies. What do I think about The Long Haul?
I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it.
And what do I think about the Disney Wimpy Kid movie?
I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it.
Or its sequel, Roderick Rules?
I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it.
Yeah, so I hope that answered that quickly, just straight to the point. That's how I feel about those movies. Now, let's rank the actual, what I think are the only ones that count, and tell you what I think about them. So, let's get to what the bottom of these movies are, since we already established the other ones are just beneath them, to trash level. So, let's get to it. Yeah, kind of the same thing like I said when I ranked the worst books. I have nothing against it, it's just the story's not as interesting. The first movie has a lot of weird things, and the movie version actually finds a way to make the book worse. There's a lot of things they just change or outright move around just to make it more of a three-part narrative instead of just a kid rambling about how his school year went. So there was that, and also with certain gross moments. You know what moments I'm talking about.
Should be going. Get away from me! Have fun, Greg, please. Greg?
Which I don't mind. I mean, it was in the book. It's fine. But like I said, this has to do with the fact that even like my last video I did on Wimpy Kid, I'm just not a fan of the first book. Out of all the books, the first one has always been like close to the bottom for me, low tier. Just because I think it's very simple, the story's not that interesting, and I really do get annoyed by this annoying long plot about these random bully teens that just won't leave Greg and Rowley alone. I just found it annoying. It wasn't for me, but it's alright. I saw this first one in theaters when it came out because that's how big of a deal this book series is to me, and it was fine for what it was. Although I never ever put this movie on ever again. No joke. I never watched this first movie again in years. I saw it once, then again on DVD, never saw it again. And to this day, I will only ever, even with friends and stuff, only ever put on 2 and 3. I'll only ever watch Roderick Rules and Dog Days, and that's about it. So yeah, that's why it's getting the bottom slot. Yeah, I guess you guys are seeing a trend here. I guess it goes in order. I really do enjoy Roderick Rules the movie. I think it's great. But the problem with it is, it seems it's so hell-bent on rewriting the story and rewriting the character of Roderick to be a much more nicer character and to make it a more emotional story about brotherly love and the connection that they're there for each other, which I like. It's not bad. They actually do the brotherly connection story really well here, and they have some heartwarming moments, which I really do enjoy.
Okay. Very funny. Very funny.
But just once again, comparing it to the book, it's not that fun. The book is funnier. Roderick being a full-on asshole and doing all these things to Greg, and Greg just having to deal with him and just having to find a way to cope with this, is more believable and more fun. No joke, speaking from experience here, that's way more believable than just, oh, we're nice, common people that are there for each other in the end. That part's true. You will be there for each other in the end. But come on, when you're the middle kid, you're literally just shit on by 2 siblings, a little and an older one, as you just try to get by. So the book felt more relatable and was more realistic with this thing, and that's one thing I'm starting to see with time, that the original books were so good due to the fact that they were just so relatable, and they wrote Greg as a realistic kid, how kids would act, and that's why this one only gets second. I love the movie, I think it's fine, I watch it on occasion, but it's nowhere near as good as the book it's based on. I mean, like, hell, anything at this point is better than this piece of shit Jeff Kinney made. Yeah, that's what I thought. You're a fuck. Yeah, like I said, probably no surprise to anybody. Yeah, Dog Days gets the best one. Now, let me tell you a little story. When I was a kid growing up and I saw the trailer for this, I was fucking pissed and I was livid. Only because I was like, hey, the last two were good. They were fine. They're not amazing, but they're good. And I can't wait for the last straw to be next. I can't wait for the last straw. They're going to do the first 4 books. Can't wait. And then I saw this.
Gogurt is taking you to see Diary of a Wimpy Kid Dog Days, only in theaters, rated PG. You can enter online codes from 3 boxes of Gogurt to get a free movie ticket. Gogurt, slurp till it's flat.
And I was fucking livid. I'm not even kidding. I really love The Last Straw. It's one of my favorite books, which you guys will see next time we cover this. It's really a good book to me. I love the storyline with the dad. I love him showing how wimpy he is and trying to deal with it. I really love this book. So when I saw, we're just going to skip it and just get straight to the point of the ending right now and just call it quits, I got annoyed. Because 1, I like The Last Straw. I don't think it needs to be skipped. And 2, it just felt like they were calling it quits and they were done. They were like, you know what, just skip it, get to the last book, and we're done. So it really annoyed me. But then they did a weird fucking fusion where they're like, hey, yeah, we're just going to fuse the story of The Last Straw with the story of Dog Days. And that just, like, why? So they were basically like, well, I mean, just grab the story of The Last Straw, and since there's not much going on in it, background-wise and atmosphere-wise, just have it take place in the genre of summer movies and just make it take place during Dog Days, because that's a summer flick. Which, yes, I even read the Diary of a Kid movie book, and that's even what they claim, too. They even claim in the movie diary that it was due to the fact that they were like, you know what, for the next movie, we need to shake it up. It needs to be fresh. We need to have a new environment for it. We're getting kind of sick and tired of just him in school and stuff. So summer it is. And you know what, for the fact that this movie is number 1 on my Wimpy Kid movie list, it worked. Yes, they end up doing just like what they did in Robert Rules, where instead of just the realistic nature of it, they go for a very soft and humble father-son bonding story. Which is fun. It's actually done really well here. And yes, I think many people have said this before, the bonding of the actors, like how well they play off each other, is so well done. It's just amazing. The way that the actor of Greg's dad and the actor of Greg just work so well and mesh, and this family truly feels like an actual family, which, by the way, they even cover in the book, was intentional. In the Wimpy Kid Diary, they also show that, yeah, we had these characters for real go to dinner with each other, go to family places, and actually bond as a family. So it looked real good on screen. And they nailed that. It does. It feels like I'm watching a real family. The chemistry between Greg and his dad is really well done here and makes for a fun movie.
The trick is to be responsible and to learn from your mistakes. And you can do that. You're a really great kid, Greg. And I'm not just saying that because we're a lot alike.
And yeah, I'll agree. Even all the stuff they do, like this movie, I actually put this movie on every summer. Every time summer starts and I feel it in the air, that nice, beautiful, warm breeze, I immediately flick this thing on because, dude, it has such a chill summer tone. It brings me back to when I was a kid again, and I was, leaving school, pairing up with my friends, going out to parks and stuff, and just enjoying myself. Like, it really has that feeling. The music and everything just has this tone of enjoying your summer. Even down to going to sorts of pools and stuff, and even down to even your friends getting into trouble and causing shit like this. Yeah, it's just a feel-good movie. It's such a feel-good movie. It feels like summer. It feels like when I was a kid hanging out with friends. It literally goes back to the old dog days of school when it was time to go summer break. It's so well done, and it gives you such this calming feeling. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. Dog Days is number one because it's such a feel-good movie. Whenever I put it on, I have a good time. I love the atmosphere. I love the characters. It makes me feel like, yeah, sweet chill summer. And that's why it gets the number one cake. So, yeah, that's why it's number one. Alright, so that's it for the video. There was nothing else I missed, and there was nothing else I missed. Fine. Let's very briefly talk about the piece of shit garbage movies that don't count. I already briefly mentioned in my last Wimpy Kid video ranking spin-off books how much of a piece of shit the movie based on Long Haul was. That movie is beyond cringe. Anybody at all that watches it will literally end up going into a coma just from how fucking stupid and cringy it is. One, why replace the actors? Yeah, they would have been older, but you could have done something where, hey, this is a movie about Greg and stuff getting ready for college, so the mom decides to have one last family vacation with them before they leave. Boom. Problem solved. You could have had this as a big goodbye hurrah to the Wimpy Kid movie. I even went out of my way to make sure that when I got the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie collection book, I made sure. I literally said, like, if I'm going to get this book, it has to be only the first 3 movies. If it at all is the one that comes with bonus long haul movie facts or anything, I am not getting it. And I did. But that's why it's annoying, because, like, you could have just wrote it that way. But anyways, let's see the movie as it is. The movie as it is a cringy, stupid fucking mess. All they do is go, alright, let's replace the characters with really bad knockoffs.
Thank you. Oh, my drum solo was coming up. It's 13 minutes of heaven. Nuh-uh. Country.
And then, let's fucking make the storyline as cringy as possible. Let's do it where, oh yeah, no, the movie's now just about fucking social media and video game crazes and fucking ninja knockoff, stupid, retarded, fucking cock-munching streamers. Like,
Mushroom Makoto. It's Japanese rental. And yes, I'm what mushroom in a kitchen? You got shroomed. That's how Digby do it.
That's how Digby do it.
Do I really need to explain further why this is a piece of shit movie? That's all I gotta say. Like, you can see for yourself from seeing it, it's beyond horrible. Really bad, shits on it, and none of the actors feel like they have chemistry. It literally feels like they're just here like zombies, just going through the motions. So yeah, that's why, like I said at the beginning of this, these don't even count. Alright, the movie on the long haul is a piece of shit. Now to the one you want me to talk about. The animation remakes. I remember when I saw that test demo of him with a snowball, and it looked like the Peanuts movie, which has a really damn good animation, and I was excited for it. I was like, you know what, it might work. But then it came out.
Hey Greg! After school, wanna come over and play?
Oh boy. It ended up being exactly what was wrong with the long haul. It ends up being some stupid fucking thing where they rip the book apart, make it completely unlike the original book. Everything that made the original books, you know, enjoyable and being able to connect with it and acting like how an actual kid would just got thrown in the fucking trash. For some reason, Jeff Kinney's obsessed with this image of, no, you guys are wrong. My original books are actually fucking bad, and Greg is actually a sweetheart where other people hurt him. That's what he is. Nobody gives a fuck, Jeff. No one gives a fuck, Jeff. No one does. Honestly, when I found out that it was actually him that wrote this piece of shit, the screenplay at least, and then I saw some stupid fucking note from him where he established that he wants to do this to fix the fucking books for some retarded reason to make them better. What are you on about? I'm sorry, but hey, after reading your last piece of shit no-brainer, I now understand that I'm now reading the words of a fucking madman. The original books are great. They're amazing because they were literally exact to how a kid felt. They literally were connectable. Yes, Greg can be a prick and he uses people, but some kids were like that growing up. And it's a character trait that's actually funny and enjoyable to watch. Now, him being a sweetheart where everyone else is a prick to him, including fucking Rowley for some reason, like, it just doesn't work. Rowley's whole character is that he is very sweet and naive. He's an idiot, that's the point, but an idiot in the sweet, caring way. He acts the way he does because he genuinely is a kind person that wants to do the right thing. And he's friends with Greg because, due to the way Rowley is, no one else is going to give him a chance but Greg. And it's really well done and beautiful. In the original movies, the highlight of the first movie is literally the scene when they have the fight about the fucking scouts. You know, when they're like those fucking scout guards that have to help the kids walk to school and stuff. When they have that blowout about that, and they have this genuinely, I actually like it. I say whatever you want about the first movie, but that emotional moment where they finally break apart and aren't friends anymore because Rowley realizes, yeah, you're being a prick, and I've taken enough of your abuse, is really emotional.
You know what, Greg? You're not a good friend. Whoa. How could you even say that? I'm a great friend. If you were a great friend, you would have told Mr. Winsky the truth. Okay, one thing. You can't get mad about you only care about yourself. You hated my cartoon. You made fun of my clothes. You disrespected Joshy. You broke my hand and you didn't even seem sorry. That broken hand was the best thing that ever happened to you. Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
And the fact that you toss that shit away just for, well, Rowley's an annoying asshole. The end. And then that's your story. Greg's right, whatever. Greg's a sweetheart, that kind of person. Oh my god, he's willing to walk on fucking water to buy a kid with no money or legs an Xbox. That you wrote him that way just makes me hate the fucking kid. Because now he's not realistic. Yes, Greg is a prick in the books. Yes, he can be bad. But even the books show that he's not a horrible person. He does do the right thing in the end. When push comes to shove, he'll make the right call. Now, he won't be a fucking saint and buy everyone a free PlayStation 5, but he'll at least do what he can with what he has. And then you just change him where now everyone else is prick to him. He's the saint here. The fuck are you doing, Jeff? But hey, like I said, after reading this piece of shit, you've checked out. Jeff, whatever the fuck is happening, you checked out, you don't give a shit, and you're just scribbling fucking shit on the paper and just selling anything anymore. I'm not even kidding. I don't even know if I'll get into the Diamond Kid book after this one. It was genuinely that bad. It was just nonsense, just pure, rambling nonsense, unrealistic shit, cartoony, over-the-top, fucking stupid stuff that, yes, say what you want about these books being animated and drawn, but in the original books, they actually connected, and they actually mattered, and they were actually mixed, and well-written, and relatable, and fucking...
And shut up and get to the point!
Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay. Whew, sorry, started to ramble a bit there just due to the fact that I really love Wimpy Kid. I read it all the way back when I was a kid when it first came out. I read each and every book as it came out. I remember spending all of grade school reading these books. I remember reading all the rest of them as I went through high school. Even now, after, I still keep tabs on them because they were that important to me. I never in my life have read a book that felt this relatable to me in my life before. It was relatable. I felt like, yeah, I have been in a situation like Greg has been here before, and he's right, it's scary, it's wild. I mean, fucking The Ugly Truth is one of my favorite books because it genuinely has a really well done emotional story plot about getting older and what you're going to lose. It's sad to see that a book series that was so big to me and so relatable that I bonded so much with ended up just turning into this. Like everything else in the world now, anything that I grew up with or anything either fucking flailed, crashed and burned, or fucking died. And it's only because that things today, in this modern age, are so fucking retarded that I can't even enjoy anything anymore. Whew. Alright, fine, you know what? Roderick rules. The Disney version is exactly the same as the first one. Same problems, same animation problems, looking cheap, stuff like that. Let's just move on to what they made after that. For some stupid-ass reason, they chose to just skip all the other books and just jump right ahead to Cabin Fever for a fucking Christmas special last Christmas. So, I really love this book. I mean, my favorite part of the book is when they try to do a holiday bazaar and when they're competing with the school and they're trying to do drummies and they end up getting in trouble and they make their own newspaper. That was funny. So I can't wait to see how all that gets adapted in this movie. So let's take a look at how this movie perfectly showed this. And then I decided, you know what, yeah, there is a retrospective that we are literally only one video away from finishing, and then we are done with it. And that is my retrospective on Diary of a Wimpy Kid. We have one video left, which is the top 7 best Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. We did the worst, we did the films, we did the spin-offs. Now it is time for the best. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so number 7 on the list is The Third Wheel. Now, let me just tell you something. When I was putting this top 7 list together, it was hard. I genuinely, throughout the books, first had a struggling time trying to figure out which are even the top 7 best. Then I struggled even further trying to rank them. Almost each and every one of these books, I went, yeah, but they all have something in them that's just so great. They all have their own tone, their own thing. So this was hard, but managed to pull it off. Now, why The Third Wheel gets number 7? Fun story. When I was younger, I actually hated The Third Wheel when it first came out and thought it was a bad book. But then I just read it over multiple times and it slowly started to grow on me. So, yeah. After thinking so many times, this one does get the number 7 spot. The reason why it's so low is because it's not that it's a bad book. It actually is a really fun book that delves into relationships, how hard they are to do when you're in this state of your life, trying to deal with school relationships and things like that, and dealing with proms and dances your school have that become such a big thing and take up so much time, and the struggles of how in the end you could end up being a third wheel, like the book says. But still really fun. There is this whole big unnecessary chapter in the beginning where he just goes in depth on his entire life from the womb out as a baby, which I thought was a bit much, but was still funny to enjoy. And after all that stalling's done, ends up being this really fun story. The highlights of the book, I will say, is the restaurant cornies. I love the restaurant cornies. I love how sloppy and weird it is, how they have their own soft serve machine thing. Like, it has such this natural, like, yeah, that is a place I would have saw when I was growing up, feel to it that it just makes you connect with it well. You know, the things the books used to do, be smaller and make it where you connect with it, you bond with it. But anyways, yeah, Corny's was the best part. The dance at the end's pretty funny too. I love seeing how just Rowley's natural loving charisma ends up getting the girl by the end, and how the date ends up going, and Greg trying to juggle in his mind. But Greg being Greg kind of makes it horrible. But solid number 7. Would have been higher, but it was just way too hard to judge the other ones. Let's get to the next entry. On this entry here, I kept flip-flopping and switching, trying hard to figure out which one should be 6. But finally, I put my foot down, finally decided it, and number 6 is The Getaway. Now, the thing with the book The Getaway is, and what made me fully commit to this one being number 6, was that I didn't have anything to say about it besides, this book is great because it's Diary of a Wimpy Kid and the Heffleys in a completely new environment we've never seen. Now, if you know, with many cartoons and stuff, that can be highly refreshing sometimes. There are many episodes of shows that I really like because they're in such a new, different environment, and seeing these characters in a new environment, sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just need to grab Greg, grab his family, put them in a completely new environment, and this time, new environment is we're in a completely different country now, going to a resort, trying to deal with how things are different there and everything, and seeing how, like usual, the Heffleys mess it up. Now, yes, this is during the era of Wimpy Kid where things are now more just downright silly and cartoony, but it still keeps this really nice feel to it that still feels relatable. I mean, the opening part of them just trying to get on the plane and just trying to catch their flight, which takes up the whole first chunk of the book, I thought at first I was going to find annoying, but I actually ended up loving it. Loved it, related to it, and yeah, it could be a bitch to get a flight. And then the only bad things I have to say about the book is I hate that they gave this really interesting relationship story plot with Roderick just for it to immediately get tossed away by the end. There's one thing that will infuriate you about all Wimpy Kid books. They all have the same curse of if anything is close to changing or maybe they're going to spice it up, they will always just throw in the trash by the end because for some reason Jeff Kinney is obsessed with the status quo. There are many moments, and as you guys know in my worst video, I genuinely despise Wrecking Ball for the fact that it just threw away a brand new interesting idea that would have been nice to see actually. It would have rejuvenized the entire series and brought it back. And he just threw it away. Just random, cartoony, throws it away. Same thing with this. We could have had an interesting thing about Roderick being with somebody and seeing where that leads, but just throw it away, no one cares. I'm sorry, Jeff, sometimes people want change. So for that reason, and much more, this gets the number 6 spot. Really fun to see them on vacation, but in the end of the day, that's all you're getting. You're just getting them on vacation, that's it. It's extremely refreshing, and better than the long haul and the deep end that tried to do it. But that's besides it. It's a vacation book, that's the best out of the vacation books. Which that's saying a lot. Okay, and on to number 5. Number 5, this one also was hard. But number 5 was Double Down. And the only reason why this gets number 5 is due to the fact that it's a really good Halloween read, as funny as that sounds. I think that's the reason why it was chosen to be orange. Even though the do-it-yourself book was originally orange, but hey, we're running out of colors. I don't know, it's just the more I looked into this book, there were so many storylines, like Greg talking about how, trying to get into certain groups and parties when he switches to the music. And let's be honest, I've met several friends when I was in high school that immediately started going nuts about joining music class or joining the music groups in school and everything just so they get invited to parties like this. So that was relatable to me. And on top of that, just him dealing with how hard those classes could be, not sticking to things you promised you would, him getting to drama with the dad. Then the amazing parts of the Halloween party. Like, no joke, almost all of the stuff they played during their Halloween party is stuff I actually played myself. Once when I was much younger, I went to a Halloween party, and every single activity game that the mom creates here for the Halloween party, I actually played myself as well when I went to my friend's Halloween party. So that was very nostalgic. That blew me away. And then the whole storyline of meeting the awkward kid who the parents are way too hard on and like obsessively make like down to the book studying. Trust me, I met a lot of assholes like that who are just way too obsessive and the parents are way too hard on them. So that was relatable as well. And yeah, and the golden thing that makes this, that would have made this higher, is the ending part. The ending has this really fun thing of Greg and Rowley just friends trying to make a horror film with what they have at home, which is the highlight of the whole book. The highlight of the whole book is the ending parts of them coming together, trying to film a horror movie. Just trying to put together a horror film with what they had, make it some some schlocky B-movie horror film about worms attacking, and it looks great. I love it. That part just was the most nostalgic to me because it reminded me of things I also did growing up. I'd also make some sort of film projects here and there. I deal with it. And the second best thing in this book is the parody making fun of Goosebumps. That was really funny. How here they do their own version of Goosebumps where they, by a different name, where they end up talking about, like how it was everywhere when you were a kid in school, and it was such a spooky thing for kids, and there was this weird fad going on for it, and parents were even getting annoyed by it, and a whole theory that, oh, R.L. Stine isn't real, people write these for him, and it also nailed how kids like me felt around that era, watching the Goosebumps show and reading the books, and wondering about the whole creepy names and everything. Like here, they name it MT Grave. And how there was many copycats of spin-offs that did the same thing. So this book perfectly gets filmmaking as a kid, Halloween, and just the feels of how Goosebumps felt for us growing up. And that whole thing. So for those reasons and more, that's why it gets number 5. Maybe I would have put it in higher. I'm not just going to second guess it, but we'll just stay for 5 for now. Maybe I'll boost it later. Here we are, number 4. Number 4 is Cabin Fever. Now, like I mentioned in my Wimpy Kid movie look-through, I was really, it's so sad to say, I was really looking forward to Cabin Fever, the movie. And as you can see from this ranking here, it is one of my favorite books out of the whole series. Just the amazing opening. The opening itself is so good. The whole sleepover, him and Rowley have the playing net critters nonstop online, the whole trying to do their own Christmas school fair and trying to outdo the school and come up with all these wild creative ideas on their own things that they could do, their own activities. Dude, that whole opening was the best part to me. The part at the end is also fun too, the whole part of, them being snowed in at their house and just trying to survive until the blizzard's over, until the dad gets back. That part was also highly addictive and fun. But the opening was just so damn good. That part just felt like an extra bonus to an already amazing beginning and middle. And the whole hilarious ending, which if you guys don't know the twist ending this book does, then I won't spoil for you. It's genuinely hilarious. The ending of this book is genuinely a funny ending, and further is why it pissed me off so much that when they did the movie, I got so pissed that I ended up running away to the goddamn moon. Right, easy. Easy. My point is, they ended up grabbing an amazing book and turning it into a schlocky, heartfelt, bitch and whiny fucking Christmas special. Now here's the thing, if you like a heartwarming Christmas thing, that's fine. But that's not what the book was, and that's not what Diary of a Kid is. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a more realistic thing about what it means going through stuff when you were a kid. It was realistic, it was toned. And I'm sorry, yeah, I've seen the reviews saying like, yeah, it gets praise for me just because of how sweet its ending is. But the problem is, when that sweetness is being directed towards this series, and you're having goddamn Greg Heffley acting so unrealistic in his sweetness that even the original first 3 live-action movies got right how he was, without having to change it too much, there's a problem. So anyways, yeah, the bazaar and them running their own newspaper are the best parts of this book. The ending reels it in with a hilarious ending. It's a huge recommend from me. Alright, here we are, the final 3. Yeah. Bet you're ready, aren't you? Bet you're throbbing, you're prodding, you're all big, bumped up and throbbing full. You are ready for the top 3, ain't you? You're bumping, you're grinding, you're swollen. Let's get into it. Let's not hold back anymore with the blue damage. Here we are, number 3, The Last Straw. I also mentioned this one in my movie thing, where in my movie episode of Diary of a Kid, I said that the only thing that Dog Days did that disappointed me, Dog Days the movie, was that they just, instead of giving The Last Straw to a movie, they just smushed the last 2 together. Which, if you remember that video, I didn't mind, and I gave that that was like ranked number 1 out of the movie, because it does work. I just wish that they didn't, because this is such a good book. So, when it comes to this book, why is it number 3? Well, the reason why The Last Straw gets number 3 is because, like I said, it's one of my favorites of all time. And fun fact, when I was a kid and these were like just coming out and like, you know, the first 4 were the main ones and I just got into reading the series, this was my favorite one for a long while until later down the line. And why was this one my favorite? Well, this one is just, it's genuinely just like opium relatable. It's like peak relatable, overdosing even. The parts that talk about how it was going to the dentist growing up, and the parts that deal with what it was to have, you know, having to go to a scary dentist as you get older, having to change your schedule, having, you know, people get on your back about how, you know, you're at that age and you gotta start getting moving, you gotta start being more at hard work, to the fact where you even have funny things like presents that, you know, you get bought for you but you don't really want, as Greg is a prick about it. And dude, it brought me back to peak Diary of a Wimpy Kid, where it was Greg being Greg, going through relatable moments. The part of this book, if I had to say, was my favorite part, was the whole part when Rowley and Greg hear that whole weird story about the guy who dug a hole just so he could practice his jumping because his superpowers are leaping. And then Greg and Rowley try to do it, but then the second they try to, the snow, and because the dirt ends up being so thick that they just can't even make a dent, so they just give up, do a really crappy time capsule because they don't want their time wasted. And then Greg ends up just like not able to wait, gets desperate just to hang with some video games and a cool snack, and he ends up just digging it up, plays, like, you know, goes through a video game with his nice big value size soda with a bag of gummies. Like, dude, that part always gets me. That part brings me back to being a kid. You have a friend over or something, and you guys are just relaxing. Nice big can of Arizona or a king can size of Brisk. You just are relaxing with some gummies or some Coca-Cola Cokes. You know, those Coca-Cola gummies. And then you just relax to a nice video game, just trying to beat it on your old PS2. That part always gets me the most. And for those reasons and more, yeah, I think that this book is third place for a reason. Would have been higher, but let's just say my nostalgia got sucked into one more than the other. Alright, now we're at number 2 right for 1. Now for number 2... Oh, man. Don't know where all that heat came from. Man, wait a minute, what is it, like summer weather? Man, must have been a pretty dog day. Okay, that was horrible. Alright, so second place is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Days. This one shouldn't be surprising to anyone why it's second place. And first off, this was actually my number 1 pick for a long while, and even when making this video, I had this at number 1. But after finally having to fully rank them, get to filming, I had to think about it and won over this one. But the reason why it is because, let me explain it to you in this way. Imagine when you were growing up. Back then, before it was all messed up and whining, and back then when we actually went outside, we hung out with friends, we went to parks, we would head to skate parks, we'd go and play some basketball in our driveway or to a school park nearby that had one, and you'd go by the corner store, you get a nice slushie to cool off in the heat, or a nice bag of candy, or you would then cool off in the night by having a nice sleepover with your pals, beating a brand new video game, trying to shoot the shit, maybe even pull out a board game with your old mini portable DVD player, playing an old TV show you had the first season of or something, or a nice movie that came out around that time. And then you think about how, yeah, I do miss those summer days. That is how this book feels. This book, to a T, feels like the joys of summer, is the best way I could put it. Even down to its color. of just being colored like the bright yellow sun during the summer. This book was such a favorite of mine for so long because this book truly, every time I look through it and I read it, it reminds me of summer when I was a kid growing up. Going outside to the parks, playing a lot of basketball, going on the swing set. Dudes, God knows how many slushies, like so many slushies to relax. Maybe a nice freezy or a popsicle. And just enjoying it, you know? All my friends hanging out, cracking all sorts of jokes, not caring what jokes we may, doing whatever, and that's what this book feels like. I know I might be, getting lost in the sauce here, that is summer, and getting into my own nostalgia a bit too much, but that's just because that's what this book makes me feel. Even moments like this, people can relate to as well. Those moments when you're inside, you have Snowblend, but you're inside just like playing a new video game, as then your mom would kick you out in order to go enjoy the sun and go hang out with your friends. So you would, and then you would go outside to the park or something. Like, dude, even down to this storyline of him going with Rowley to the boardwalk and playing some arcade machines here and there, and just maybe even sometimes if you were lucky going to a theme park or something nearby and just riding the rides in the summer heat. Like, dude, those rides were cooling. Even riding your bike and shit, going to the public pool and stuff. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it genuinely feels like Jeff Kinney fully just put his all into this one book, really relating with it. So, yeah, best part is the boardwalk and him dealing with Rowley. Even the book even perfectly matches the him and Rowley fighting and when they weren't friends for a bit. Even that was done better here. So yeah, a bit hyperbolic here, but for all that and more, that's why it's number 2. And a part of me still wants to make it number 1, but we'll get to the reason why it's not. And here it is, the finale, number 1, and why it is number 1. Number 1 is The Ugly Truth. This one took me a long time to accept, but if you want to know the reason why this is number 1, is because this book perfectly masters what it means to get older. This entire book, from start to finish, is Greg questioning what it means to get older. The book starts with him explaining how, yeah, I noticed that as you get older, you're not allowed to enjoy the things you used to. Things that, were praised, that people thought were cute when you were smaller, now gets made fun of and treated like a joke when you're older. You start to get tossed aside more for younger brothers that are born, or for other people that have just started their life. You start to get treated less and less, and more like, well, how about you just get to work? Even here, when he shows him and Rowley just wanted to go to the farm to play around for the camera crew shoos them off like they're freaks for it just because they're older. And how as time goes on, you start to enjoy things less and less, and things change. And that's the reason why it gets it. This book beautifully masters and teaches a lesson of what it means to hit puberty and grow older. This book perfectly explains the things you will go through, the things you'll feel, and the things that will happen to you, sadly. And how, in the end, that's alright. I'm going to read this last part here to prove my point about why it's so great. I guess I'm not in a big rush to grow up right now. And after Gammy showing me what's in store on the next few years, I think I'm going to take her advice and hang as long as I can. I don't feel like growing older. I just want to be myself while I still can, because many things can change. And that right there is the reason why this is the number 1 best book. It could have been the other one due to nostalgia. It could have been the others due to fun. But this one was number 1 due to the fact that it was the most personal and most beautifully written out of all of them. And that's saying a lot for Jeff Kinney. And you know what that means? Oh yeah, with that, we have finished the Wimpy Kid Retrospective.
Hey everybody, sorry, it's just big moment happening here. We are finally toward the end of the Wimpy Kid Retrospective, and I just wanted to say a few words before it was over. Just because we now say goodbye to a beloved book series, a series that I grew up with so much, that was such a big deal to me, this doesn't mean it's the end. Yes, I know there might not be any more Wimpy Kid videos on this channel from now on, or on this series, but you never know. Maybe from time itself, we'll have people that comment all sorts of things with Wimpy Kid they wish for me to talk about, or maybe we'll get some new books that manage to be good enough to make me redo my top 7 list, to make them more grander. But for now, even though the movies, as we saw, may be a flop, it does not mean the books have to be either. So let's celebrate. Let's hold up our drinks and celebrate in knowing the fact that even though the movies may be shit, there will always be the book series. And I know that with the newest entry of the book series, we will proceed to get greater and greater books that go beyond our wildest dreams. You know it, I know it, and you can all celebrate in knowing that the books will always be. Boy, I was fucking wrong. Shit. I guess it's all downhill from here.